Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate y'all tuning in as always. But today we're checking out GearWrench's Impact Extensions, how they've been holding up for the last 5 to 6 years now, half a decade, whatever. If you're serious about automotive work, DIY projects, these tools are definitely a game changer. They've been working great, so y'all stay tuned and we're going to go through them. Alright guys, so Impact Extensions. Now if y'all been on my channel for a while, y'all know these are, they've been around. I've been using them. I've tested them out. I've shown them to y'all over the years as I picked them up, as I've used them. GearWrench has made them pretty durable, to say the least. You'll see the impact extensions back here. That's what they're made for. So, how have they been holding up? Alright, so up close, high strength, heat treated chrome vanadium steel. They can definitely take up the task of being used and abused. Alright. Now this is a newer one. Y'all have seen me warranty this one out, the locking one. So we'll go through that one here in a bit. But pretty much when it comes to the extensions, I have a select variety of sizes I normally use. Either 5 to 6 inch, the 3 inches, the 15 inches. Generally not so much, depending on what's being called for. And then generally, I would say 10 to 12 inch, right? So, but when it comes to extensions, not every single size is going to get used. Y'all see my extension drawers. I have way too many, so you know it's like having a lot of kids. You got to learn when to spread the love, give each kid their own time, and I also have a variety of brands too. So that's another thing too. But anyways, so generally, yeah, if I'm pulling out extensions for most majority of my work, it's going to be the 5 to 6, the 3 inches, and then obviously in the tighter places, like in the engine bay, the longer ones. So, but still, you're not going to get a ton of usage on the super long ones. In my case, but these will be the main ones doing suspension work, all kinds of stuff like that. But all of them have a black phosphate finish, helps with the rust and corrosion, especially if you're working in tough environments up north and stuff like that, where you have a lot of snow and stuff, and you're working on vehicles that have a lot of rust. All that stuff transfers over. Wet conditions as well too. So, all right. Now in terms of the fit and finish goes, GearWrench has pretty much engineered these down very well. They've been in the tool market for a long time, so when it comes to their products, I'm not very surprised at all. It's just, people have the tendency of not selecting them just because, they're not a USA made product. But as far as the finish goes, very well, fit the socket very fine. This is the 5-inch one. Now all of their extensions, laser etched. They got the logo. Generally has their part number on there and whatever size it is. So again, we've got I believe this is a Sunex. So this is a Sunex socket. That one fits great. This is a Matco Silver Eagle. And when it comes to impact extensions, the main thing you want to focus on is obviously the durability, finish, the product itself, and the ability to transfer power. And that's going to come with the fitment, right? Transferring power is very key when it comes to impacting because, from the impact tool through the extension, then to the socket, to the fastener, that's what you're going to want to pay key attention to. So again, laser etched logo, part number, sizing, Sunex socket here. The detent is very good as well on this Have no issues with these detents. Now obviously each of the cuts on sockets can be different in terms of the hole that's made for these detents, but generally does pretty well. Holds the socket on there very well. Now, y'all seen me use GearWrench products a ton on my channel. I've always, I've gone through a lot of tool brands over the years, just trying them out, collecting some of them, but generally, now when it comes to accessories, like this, I'm very fond of them. I enjoy using them, and I enjoy collecting them in general. But with the GearWrench brand, they're right in the middle of the line, right? Now, as far as the market prices goes, I mean, after COVID, they just kind of either skyrocketed up and fell back down, depending on the availability. That was the biggest thing, because these are coming from overseas, from Taiwan, some from China. That obviously impacted it, right? So that was the thing during COVID, the availability of the stuff. So some of the prices on, the ratchets, the extensions, I saw them go up. Sockets, the same thing as well too. Now you have inflation on there. But generally, when it comes to prices for GearWrench specifically, they're pretty much in the middle of the market. They're not on the lower end of the cheap stuff, and they're not on the higher end like the tool truck brands. Obviously for an extension set, you're gonna pay a couple $100 for a name brand like Snap-on, Mac Tools, or whatever the case is. But finding the middle of the line when you're not, like in my case, where I'm not a professional, but I'm not a DIYer. I want something that's durable. I want something that's going to hold up. GearWrench is obviously a product line that fits in that category, right? They make decent stuff for the price. It's not too super expensive, but they have the availability of stuff that you would find on a tool truck. They come, and I'll pull it out here in a second. They come in these nice, blow molded trays. They're very organized. They have availability in different terms of different ones. You have your regular extensions, then you have your wobbles, then you have your locking extensions, different sizes and variety. You get from 1 inch all the way up to 15 inch, and then obviously further down the line, if you're working in transmissions, they have the longer ones. So that's one of the things that you kind of want to look at. Okay, what is the availability, what's the pricing, and what's the overall durability? Now, when it comes to actual usage of them, I've used these on whether taking tires off, to suspension, brake work, engine work, engine motor mounts, stuff like that. These are my primary go-to. Long are the days that I use chrome stuff anymore on my channel, but there is time and usage for those. But generally for impact stuff, that's all I primarily use now on my channel itself. So in this box here, all I have are impact sockets, and then all I have are impact extensions. So these work great in those tight places. Even though they're a little bit thicker than the chrome stuff, they still work. That's another thing. If you're with the durability in a all-in-one kind of package, you're gonna get a lot of really good usage out of them. Now there's been times where these may be a little bit thicker than normal than a chrome one, so I've had to revert to a chrome one. But that, again, you want to have that wide array of selection when it comes to automotive work, because you never know what you're gonna run into. But generally, all these sizes, the different styles, they're gonna work very well. So like I was saying earlier, they come in these nice blow molded trays. Now some of y'all don't like to keep them in there, depending on space, obviously, and then depending on just people just don't like the fact that they take up so much space, and they don't really care about the organization part. But for myself, I'm kind of in between, depending on which toolbox I'm working in. So if I have the space, I'd love to keep them in there, because then I can just look in there and say, okay, I'm missing this extension here for the 10-inch, or the 3-inch, 5-inch, 15-inch, whatever the case is, and I need to go find it. If I'm working on somebody else's vehicle, and I know there's a possibility that they're going to leave with it, you know, and it's going to be on the road somewhere, before I even say, okay, this vehicle is ready to be picked up, or whatever the case is, I go back, I look for it, find it, put it back in its place, and then I'm done, right? You know, so it helps with the organization. Now, obviously, there's different styles of organization or whatever. You can use pegs in your toolbox, those trays, or whatever the case is. But for me, I do like these blow molded trays. Obviously, on this one here, I have an extra one because I've warrantied out one before. Now, let's talk about their warranty. When it comes to GearWrench's warranty, it is pretty much a lifetime warranty, as you would find like at Harbor Freight, or through Snap-on Tools, Mac Tools, Craftsman, Sonex, whatever the case is. And it's very easy. So you just go online, you snap a picture first of your broken product. You go on there, you submit a form. It's a pretty generic form. You know, you'll put your part number in there. And as far as proof of purchase, I don't remember having to do that. So I just take a picture of it, I submit a form, and generally within a week or two, they'll get back to you and say, okay, your claim has been submitted and it's being processed, or whatever the case is. And then as soon as it ships out, they'll send you a confirmation on that as well too. Now, I've shared my experiences before with GearWrench. Sometimes it takes about a week or two, and they just ship you a brand new one. I've warrantied out the extensions, I've warrantied out ratchets, and that's generally been my experience for the most part. Now, during COVID, when there was shipping issues and stuff like that, I had one extension that took a couple months. Now, it was this one here. So that's why I have two of these that look brand new. So what ended up happening was, obviously there was a delay in getting the product from overseas. And then I followed up with them about once a month or two, every few weeks or whatever the case is. And finally, I guess the automated system sent me out one, and then the customer representative sent me out another as soon as the shipment that came in. So I ended up with two of them. So yeah, there's no hassle in terms of the warranty itself. I've never experienced it. Some others may have, but I haven't read anything online about that either. But when it comes to my own experience with warranting with them, it's been great. The customer service is great. You can also, they're very active on social media. I've had experiences with them on social media as well too. When I tag pictures, they heart it or whatever the case is. And then over a decade ago, that's where a lot of my a lot of my GearWrench stuff had came from in the very beginning when I first started going through GearWrench. Was they had events on social media where you post a picture of you using their tools, and they select the best photo, and they would showcase it for that month or whatever, and you had the opportunity to win some of their tools. So I think I've won some snap ring pliers. I think I won it twice, and some other tools or whatever the case is. So I forget, it's been so long. All right, guys. So those are my thoughts on the GearWrench Impact Extensions. I was going to go through them set by set, but I figured I'd just combine them all into one and do one video on them. So 1/2 inch, 3/8, that's what's available from my knowledge. They don't have 1/4 inch. That's why I got gray pneumatic in my toolbox for the 1/4 inch stuff. Now that gets, rarely gets used, mainly for interior stuff like that. So my go-tos are 3/8 and 1/2 inch when it comes to impact extensions. Generally that pretty much covers everything anyways. But yeah, they've been doing great. So I would highly recommend them, and the pricing point is great for me too. So that's from my perspective. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on them, if you've used them before, and if you had a great experience with them. So anyways, y'all stay blessed, keep wrenching, and I'll catch y'all next time.